Hey everyone, Mark the Movie Man here. Welcome to the Final Cut in our little sliver of the internet. And today we are looking at another feature that I watched at the Twisted Dream Films Festival last weekend in Milwaukee. And this one was called Living with Chucky. It is a documentary, but it is still horror themed, as you can guess by the title if you haven't heard. This is an exploration into the behind the scenes and the stories and the insights of what went behind making the Chucky film series. Now, they didn't cover the reboot / remake, whatever you want to classify the more recent one, or the TV show. This sticks basically to those original films. And Living with Chucky, yeah, you get a lot of testimonials, a lot of backstory, a lot of interesting anecdotes about what went behind making this series, but you also get some information and interesting insight from those who weren't necessarily involved with the Chucky series, but were also influenced by it. So I liked that quite a bit. What was very interesting is how they broke up each chapter of the documentary, what film they're covering, by actually showing the original media. They started out with VHS, and then they went to the DVD and that. And that was an interesting way to kind of break up the chapters as they convey what film they're talking about in the series. Now, director Kira Elise Gardner, who also co-wrote this with Jason Strickland, gives us a bit of a twist with this documentary, which surprised me because I wasn't too familiar. I'm familiar with the movies, of course, but not necessarily all the people involved behind it. And so you get a little bit of a twist in this documentary about an hour in, and it changes to more about the sacrifices and the work and the impact that filmmaking has on cast and crew and how they become a family, but at the same time it affects their real world family. And it was a really touching, very honest window into what performers go through who are making film, and how that passion can sometimes has to be pushed aside for the sake of family. And yeah, it turns into this more than just a standard behind the scenes antics to a very touching look into indie filmmaking and smaller filmmaking. And that's what I loved. You get Lynn Shay. It was fun seeing her show up in here. She gives some insight on what makes good horror, especially, some of her experiences working with a small crew. Marlon Wayne's in here giving some insight as well about horror. And then, of course, you have a lot of the cast in from the original film. They got a lot of people back, Brad Dourif and his daughter as well, giving their insights. Abigail Breslin shows up in here and talks about what it's like working as a child actor on a horror set and coming back to the film, helping bridge that, give some alternative perspective to the original kid who grew up, in the first couple of Chucky films and then came back later. Yeah, I really enjoyed how this documentary played out, how it came together, and the bit of the twist at the end, which then suddenly really gave this film a lot of heart. So by the end, not only do you have a more appreciation for what went into making the Chucky films and more information for those trivia, but you also have a bit of a heart and giving, these folks that depth that you may not think of when you think of filmmakers, and may appreciate the films on a different level. So there you have it, Living with Chucky. Highly recommend that documentary, not just as a Chucky fan, but just as a horror fan or as a film fan. You'll want to check this documentary out. And that'll about do it for us here in the Final Cut. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, hit bells and whistles and all that here on the YouTube. Check out our Patreon if you want. Great tiers for reasonable prices. And until next time, remember, keep that ticket stub.